to be doing a new little painting. This is just for fun because this morning when I was creating some new art for February, I painted these beautiful flamingo. And let me put Angel on her perch and I'll show you the flamingo paintings. And then we're going to paint our own little 8x8, but a Christmas version. So let me put her back. There you go. Good girl. Got it. Okay, so this is the new flamingo painting. It's a couples design that is going to be ready for licensing for January or February. Now I did it, so this is the flamingo. See, it's two side by side. You can also, it's actually meant to be slightly skewed, like this. There you go. Like this, like this. There we go. So do you see how the canvases are a little off? I did that on purpose. So I kind of misaligned the two canvases and painted it that way so that it gave the heart a little bit more interest, and I thought it would look really cute hanging that way. So since I just painted this morning, and while I was painting live in my painting membership, Michelle's Inner Circle, one of my members said, if you put a Christmas hat on it, it would be for Christmas. I mean, a Santa hat. So I thought, that's a really cute idea. And I don't have anything that's really just kind of fun and whimsical for Christmas with a flamingo. So I thought, why not do a little 8x8 on YouTube while I have all my paints out, and I'll show you how we can make them Christmassy. So let me put these over on the shelf and let's do a little 8x8. Stick these over here. Okay, Angel, you can watch. Okay, so Angel's gonna hang out for a little while, and I'm gonna turn my camera around, and we're gonna do an entire little mini painting in maybe 20-30 minutes. It's just gonna keep it super simple. So I hope you try this at home, and if you do, share it in our Facebook group. We have a free Facebook group. It's called Learn to Paint with Art Rave, and you can post your creation in there and we would love to see it. So let me turn this around and bring my camera down. All right, so let me set this up really quickly. I have my 8x8 canvas here and my glasses. All right, let's get up nice and close so you can see all the fun details. Let me get my cord a little out of the way. And here we are. Okay, so I've got a little black canvas, and I love painting on black because it just makes everything so interesting and high contrast. I'm gonna just reuse my paper towel here, and I've got my water cup. And what we're gonna use is, I'm going to show you how to draw a simple drawing of a flamingo because this is just a little free fun video, so you don't need an outline. So what I want to do is I want to have my flamingo here. So I'm going to have my flamingo right here, and I want a little Santa hat on him. So I'm going to put a little hat like this. And keep my flamingo looking like I did on my big painting. Like I said, I already drew him this morning, so I already know how to do it. So you're just gonna draw a little oval. Now, if you look at the canvas and you were to divide it into 6 sections, so I'm gonna just go like this. 9 sections, sorry. There we go. You can see how the first circle here is right over the intersection of these two lines. So that's where we're going to draw our oval. And then your hat, you're just going to draw a little U-shaped crescent. That's going to be the bottom of the Santa hat, and then we're going to go over and down. Now from his forehead, you're going to kind of create a straight line. You want it to be at an angle, not straight up and down, but just a little bit at an angle. So we're just going to go down and then curve it, give it a little kink for his beak. Because their beaks kind of scoop, they're almost like upside down because they eat upside down. It's very weird. And then we're gonna make his little neck. You can make it nice and skinny because they are skinny. And then the bottom, we are just going to make it all kinds of fun and feathery. So we can make it just feathers going everywhere. And I was thinking it'd be kind of cute if we had like a little something out of his mouth, maybe a little Christmassy sprig. So that's the two ways we're gonna make it holiday, is we're going to give him a Santa hat, a little pom-pom. We're gonna make a little sprig here of something holiday, and then maybe we'll make it snowing. So I'm gonna take my Valentine's Day flamingo and turn it into a Christmas flamingo. Okay, so to start off, I'm going to teach you the same step-by-step process that I used in the larger painting for this one. So I'm going to use a small flat brush. Just use a brush that's proportionate to your canvas. And I'm going to make this guy pink. So I'm just going to take some bright red. Now this paint's been on my palette since this morning, so it's a little chunky. We're just going to add a little water to it and some white. And I'm going to start off by just doing a base coat. So a base coat is just the main color of our flamingo. And I'm going to start by covering the face. And I'm going to go paint the neck. And what I love about painting flamingos, and I talked about this morning in the class, is that they come in all different shades of pink and salmon colored, because depending on their diet, from what I remember hearing years ago, depending on what they eat, will determine the color of their foliage, their plumage. So I'm going to put a little of his neck down here, all the way up to here, so I'm making kind of like an S. Okay, so now that we have the base coat in that pink, now I'm going to just use that same base coat, and I'm going to just maybe mix a little bit more, and I'm going to lay in a good amount of his feathers down below. So I'm just going to start by making broad strokes, and they can be in any pattern. I'm just going to make a bunch of plumy arcs with my pink, and just have fun with it. Don't worry about if they're perfect direction. You can have some a little higher, like over here. You can have some a little lower. And I'm using the brush kind of wide, and then sometimes I'm using it a little thin. So you want to have a combination of wide brush strokes and thinner brush strokes. So there's most of my pinks. Okay, so that's kind of our base coat. And now we're going to add a little bit of a base coat to the beak. So I'm going to wipe off my brush. Let me get some clean white. And the base coat for the beak is just going to be straight white. We're just going to put his beak in. The tip is black, so we're just going to paint the middle of the beak. And we're going to need a second coat of this, but this is just going to be the first coat along this nice dark canvas here. And then just finish off, let me just cap off that area there. It's okay if you get some pink on the beak, because the beak actually can be very pink as well. Okay, so I'm going to rinse off my brush now, and we're still using the small flat brush, but now I'm going to put in some white for the Santa hat. And I actually want to take just a teeny tiny bit of black, just a little bit, because I want the Santa hat to actually be a little bit on the gray side. And you can leave a little black edge between the flamingo and the hat. And I'm just making little circles with the corner of my brush. Just fill that in with a super, super light gray. It's mostly white, just a little bit of light gray. And I'm just using little circles so it looks a little fluffy. And we'll put in the little tassel. Okay, so that's our base coat. Drop of water. Okay, so now we're gonna rinse off our brush and we're gonna add some of the shadows. So for the shadows, we're going to make a nice deep dark pink. And I'm going to actually use a little of fire red, which is an orangey red, and a little bit of the bright red. So I'm going to use a little bit of both. And I'm going to come next to the neck and just add in some little bits of darker red in the cracks. So this bottom section, this is all just an abstract, fun feather collection. We don't necessarily have to worry about specific anatomy or anything like that. We're just adding in some deep darks because we want it to go dark to light. So I'm going to add in some darks, maybe add a little bit of white in here. Every time you add a little bit of white, you're going to change the shade and you're going to get new shades of pink, which is what makes this so much fun. So I just want to get a little bit of the darks in there. And when it dries on the black, it'll also be dark. So we're going to let that dry. And any of the pink that's on top of the black is going to dry into a dark, deep red. Now let's take some of that dark deep red and let's add some shadows to our flamingo. So I'm going to make some little bit of this red underneath the hat, underneath the jaw a little bit, and in two spots on the neck, underneath the arc of the neck here. And along the back here. So our light source is sort of coming from the right. So we're going to put the shadow on this side. And you see how the black of the canvas is showing here? That is going to actually be a really nice automatic shadow from our black canvas. So there's our beautiful deep dark colors. Now you can make your flamingo really light. So in my Valentine's Day flamingo, that flamingo it's not yet in the website yet, but it'll be up in a few weeks if you wanted to paint that as a paint at home video. If you want to license it and put it on your calendar for February, it will also be available for licensing in about 2 weeks, and you can start planning out your February calendar. That is going to be at artravestudios.com, where there's a lot of other artwork to choose from to license for your parties. But this one, this particular design is just for fun. Okay, so let's get a little bit more pink. And I'm going to start adding a highlight now. So I mixed a little bit of the pink and white, which is the, the bright red and white, and I'm going to start adding highlights to the highlighted edge, which is this one. And I'm using my brush, I'm holding it parallel to the edge of the neck, and I want to just make a bunch of quick little brush strokes. This is what's going to make it look like feathers. Just little brush strokes up the neck. You can overlap your bright red area with a couple of little brush strokes. keep climbing up the neck and go all the way to the top, where we're going to just lightly layer over our brightest areas. And then on the face, I'm going to fill the face in with this pink also, but I'm going to make the brush strokes really tiny, so it looks like little feathers. So little brush strokes, and fill that in. Now I'm leaving my red shadow underneath my hat, and I'm leaving a little of the red shadow underneath his jaw. Okay, so now let's start getting into more of the bright pinks. So I'm going to go with the bright fire red and a lot of white. So now we want to get into more whites. And I'm going to start adding some big, bold strokes to his feathers. So I want to start giving his feathers a little bit of shape. So here's how I was teaching this morning how to make a feather. So you're just going to make a line with the skinny side of the brush, and then you're going to make a little point. So this looks like a little leaf. You see how that tapers to a point right there? And then you're just going to do a stroke or two to fill it in, and that's it. That's a feather. Now you don't have to make everything a feather. You can just do fun stuff. Like I can just do an edge here and just paint back up to, there's a feather. And you want to taper your brush. So tapering means just patting it back and forth so that it's nice and thin. You see how tapered that brush is now? Using the side of my brush, I'm just going to make another line here, and then a little teardrop and a teardrop, and then fill it in. There's a feather there. And you can just keep adding little strokes of that light pink. You want to think of those feathers as almost like leaves. They don't need to be any particular perfect order. Just pick a spot, make a little center line swoosh, and then taper it down. Do you see how I made it give it a little point down here? And then add some extra light pink. So center line, a swoosh and a swoosh so that we get those little fat sides. And then we're just gonna, so then a couple of them, not everywhere, just a couple of them have bright white feathers. And I'm gonna add extra white to the tip. Extra white, and I'm just pulling it back towards the bird. So just a little swoosh, little swoosh. And now I'm going to start getting messy. So we got just a few little shapes. See those little pointed feathers? And you can keep doing that more, or just kind of have a little fun and go crazy with it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a lot of white, and I'm just going to hold my brush flat like this, and I'm just going to go. Okay, so that is a nice big flat swoosh. I'm going to put some little swooshes on the chest here. And then just a little, I love using the side of the brush to make this big flat. We can even have some going up, some coming down. I kind of like the little irregularity of using the brush flat like that. Let's make this one nice and don't fix them too much. Just get that, just put it on there and have it be more spontaneous. I think it looks more fun that way. Okay, so there's our fun feathers. And now I'm going to add the final highlights to the neck while I have this really light pink or white. And I'm just going to take white and go along the edge, the right edge, and then making little dashes. I'm just going to fill in some of my feathers with little dashes. And I'm going to come up to the neck over here with some super light pink and add my little highlights to the top of the neck. Always doing little brush strokes to make the feathers. So I'm going to hold it up close so you can see. So it's just little feathers all along the top edge and middle area. I'm going to add some little baby feathers on the face. Just using the corner of my brush and a little bit of light pink. Lightly tap in the middle to get that little highlight. And I'm going to get a little bit more white on the top edge. I really want that little pop of brightness. You can also add, I love doing this on the big one, you can also add a little fluff of the feathers. Like the neck is a little fluffy. And then just make little soft brush strokes coming down the neck, always going in the direction of the brush, of the feathers. So your brush is always making little feathers with little brush strokes. And I'm going to give a little final coat of white to the beak. So let's get the beak nice and white. And then at least the birds that I was looking at this morning for reference, there's a little pink patch, kind of like on their bottom jaw. So I'm going to put a little pink patch right here. Okay. And now I'm going to rinse off my brush so we can do his little hat. I'm going to go straight bright red on his hat. Now you need to add a tiny bit of white to this red. And the reason being is because it's very black, the hat. The background is very black. So the hat is going to dry very dark. Oops, we got a paint blob there we got to get rid of. Oop. Okay, so the hat's going to look a little bit pink at first, but don't worry because we're going to come back and paint it a beautiful red. So paint it a little bit on the pink side so that we can use the white. We're using the white to make the red opaque, and then we're going to come back and make it a bright, bright Santa red. So paint it in like that, and then I'm going to take some white, and I'm going to put a little white fold right there. A little white along the edge. Whoops, I need to get more white. A little white along the edge, maybe a little white along the front here. Okay, so those are the areas where we're going to make them a little white because we're going to paint that with an orangey red and make that a bright Santa red. Okay, so now that we got all the main components in, we got our large brush done. Now we're going to wipe off this brush, give it a good rinse, and do the little details. Isn't this adorable? Oh my gosh, this Christmas. I wish I could give credit to the person who suggested doing a Christmas one, but I can't remember if it was Kathy or maybe it was Kathy or Jackie. One of our inner circle members this morning suggested doing a Christmas one, and I was so glad because this is going to look so cute. I might just give this as a little gift this Christmas. Let me know in the comments if you would like to license this painting. I'm not planning on putting it in our licensing gallery because most studios right now and most of the instructors that license from us are pretty much done with their December calendar. So we're creating artwork now for February. But if you are dying to get this on your calendar, let me know. I'll see if my team can process it and get it up for licensing if you want to make a class, if you want to use it for a class. Our license is a monthly membership, but we do we do also offer individual little licenses called a la carte. So if you just wanted to just license one painting for one class, you can do that for $49, and you can just use that painting for that one class, and then you don't need to commit to the monthly. You can just license it for a one-time use. So on this white, I'm going to leave some gray underneath the hat, and I'm going to leave some gray underneath, and I'm just going to tap out the line so that we leave a little texture. I should have left a little gray underneath here. Let me put a tiny bit of gray. I'm going to put just a little bit of gray on the bottom of my tassel here. There we go. Okay, so now I want to rinse out my brush, and I'm going to add the little white eye. So there's a white eye patch right up here. And then their beak just kind of comes right from the eye. So just paint a little white in there. I got a big blob of water. Hold on. I hate when I get too much water on my brush and it just drips down the handle. There we go. Okay, let's try that again. Let's get some straight white right in here. And while I have the straight white on my brush, I can also maybe add a couple little baby feathers down here. Just kind of add some little fun ones. Maybe brighten up a little the tip of a feather here or there. Okay, and I'm going to add a little bit of white to just the very, very front of its chest, just that little edge, that little extra little bit of highlight. Okay, now let's paint while we let the hat dry a little longer, we're going to paint the beak black. So let's get some black on our brush. And the beak has a big hook to it. And the beak just kind of ends anywhere randomly. I just brush up towards the beak and just let it end however it ends, just the tip of the beak. Now the line for the mouth is kind of interesting. It starts, I'm going to make sure my brush is nice and pointy by rolling it on my paper towel so it's nice and pointy. And if you go between the eye and the lower chin, so this is where the mouth is going to start, and then it's going to come up towards that side of the beak. It's a very strange mouth crack or seam. It's kind of like that. And then make a little black dash for his nostril. And then we're just going to do a little black dot for his eye. Now, if we want to get a little bit more fancy with his eye, which I'm going to because it's fun, take a clean brush, and we're going to make his eye yellow and white. So yellow and white. This just adds a little extra pop of color to the painting. And we're just going to put that little yellow and white right there. It's the only little bit of yellow you're going to have in the whole painting. Can't see it too much, but we're going to be adding the black in a minute anyway. Okay, so then we're just going to take a little tiny bit of black on a pointy brush, and I'm going to make just a little teeny tiny circle around the eye like that, and then a little teeny tiny dot right in the middle. There's our eye. Okay, so this is almost done. We just need our little Christmas greenery. I think that this way is the best to do it. Whoops, water droplet. I think that this way is the best to do it. And if I think of all of the greens that I've seen, I'm gonna actually look up a quick, because this is not on my Valentine's painting, of course. I'm gonna put a Christmas sprig, and let me see what comes up. Perfect, just like a little green pine branch and some berries, or let's see what we have here. You know, we can do mistletoe. Oh, that'd be so pretty too. Let's see. I'm gonna look up images. All right, let's look at some sprigs really quickly. Ooh. We could do something simple like this, just a little holly sprig. So why don't we do that? This is perfect right here. We're just gonna make a little sprig like this, so we get a little touch of holiday. I would make a holly and berry, but those leaves are too hard to paint tiny, so we're just gonna do. So we're gonna get some green. Let's see, where's a good green? So I've got some pre-mixed paint here from a previous project, so I'm just gonna use a little dab of this green. So you can take a green, this is probably green oxide and a little bit of yellow, and just make up a dark to medium green. Okay, let's get our flamingo back here. We're gonna do a little sprig. Now the mouth seam is actually, comes up and then down again, so I'm gonna put part of it behind it like this and stop where his mouth is gonna be. Like in the middle here. And then I'm going to continue this way, going up this way. So I just made a fun little whimsical line. And now to make the little branches, I'm just going to go fat and then pull it and make it pointy. Fat and then pull it and make it pointy. We'll just put 5 little leaves here. Now we're probably gonna have to let this dry a little bit because, oh good, we're still live. Phew, that phone call messed me up. Okay, so now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna give it a quick blow dry so that I can add a second coat to my greenery. So let me grab my hair dryer. Let's do a quick blow dry. And if you've watched me this far, then you really love painting, and I hope that you subscribe to my channel, like it and subscribe, and check us out on Facebook in our Learn to Paint with Art Rave Facebook group. And even consider painting with us over the holidays if you want to try out our membership. You can join and cancel anytime, and you have our entire gallery to enjoy over the holidays to paint as much as you would like. So I'm going to get a little bit of a light green and just highlight some of these with the light green in the middle. Just give a little pop of a lighter green just to kind of make them look a little bit more, stand out a little bit more. And I forgot to wipe off the chalk while I blow dry it. Okay, so let's do that now. So I'm going to take a little tiny piece of paper towel, get it wet, and then go around and get rid of all the chalk, except for by my stem where I just added some highlights. So just dip it in water. Take that damp paper towel and just wipe off any chalk. Now you can do this when you're completely done. You want to make sure that your canvas is totally dry. And I have to get that little bit in here, but I painted it green again, so let me just be very careful. I want to smudge my greens. Okay, so now for some of the finishing touches. So see this little smear right here? I'm going to get rid of that because I think it interferes with my greenery. So I'm going to take a little bit of black and just erase it, which is the beauty of painting on a black canvas, is you can just delete and you're right back to your black canvas again. I'm going to take a little bit of white and define my beak. So do you see where the beak is kind of, you can't see it with the black background? So we're just going to take a little white line and define our beak there. I also want to define this, the crack in the beak, which is coming from here, like that. And you can just make any little line just to kind of make your beak stand out. Let me just fill in that little missing spot there with some white. Okay, so now we're going to add our little red berries. So I'm going to get some very bright red right in here, and I'm going to put little blobs around so they're nice and bright. Just make little fat little blobs of paint. This way it'll be nice and rich and deep red. You can go right on your green, you can go off your green. I'm going to go all around. If you do it on the black, you want to really make sure the paint is thick so that it stands out and it's nice and opaque. And I'll keep putting a couple more over here. And another one maybe here. So cute. Maybe one more kind of over here. An unexpected one off on the bottom. Okay, now we just have to add our top layer to our hat. So the hat, we did this sort of whitish pink thing, and that's because when it dries, we're gonna layer over it with a fire red. The fire red is transparent or translucent, so watch when I layer over the white, it turns to a bright, gorgeous Santa red. So I'm gonna go right over the white. And those white areas are gonna be the highlights on my hat. See how there's no pink? I told you we weren't gonna leave our hat pink. Because the highlight to red is actually orange. So by using the white underneath, we bring out the bright oranginess of this red. Okay, so the last thing I want to do is just add some snow. And to do that, we're going to take our pointy brush, and I'm going to make one more little highlight on my hat here. I do want to have some distinction between this side and that side, so I'm going to just do a little swoosh of white. And I'm also going to do a little swoosh of black. I want a little black seam right here. There we go. So now it's kind of folding over itself. It just makes more sense that way. And we'll just put a little shadow here. So cute. Now for the snow, I'm going to take my pointy brush. I'm going to get some clean white, and over on the side, mix that white with lots of water. Okay, so get it really thin, and then holding your brush above your canvas, you're just going to tap it and you're gonna get snow. Make sure you move any of your devices out of the way so you don't get snow on your phone, your expensive iPad. Just drip, just sprinkle, sprinkle, sprinkle. You can also do little dots. All around. And I'm gonna call this Fa La La Flamingo. How about that? That's adorable. All right, well, thanks for watching, and I hope you try this at home just for fun. And if you do want to teach it in a class, you will need to license it. So put it in the comments if you're interested in licensing, and I'll get you hooked up. Okay, we're just going to add a couple little fat snowflakes. So cute. All right, and there's our little Fa La La Flamingo. All right, well, thanks for watching, and I'll see you at the next video.